In 2008, a worker at an Indian Army camp in Arunachal Pradesh walked down the mountain to a local market. He started his trek back up before dark, but never arrived. The next morning, a traveler found him dead on the side of the road. His phone and money sat right next to him, ruling out a robbery. His body was propped up awkwardly, and his neck was completely snapped. Doctors noted the break required immense force, yet there were no marks from a struggle and no blood. The only biological evidence police found on the corpse was a single strand of hair. Fast forward 11 years to April 2019. The official Twitter account of the Indian Army posted an update from a mountaineering expedition. They claimed to have discovered a trail of fresh, 32-inch-long footprints in the snow near a Himalayan base camp. When official military logs document massive tracks near an army base, the Yeti transitions from folklore into a matter of record. Between unexplained deaths and modern sightings, the search has moved into a serious institutional phase. This level of national interest hit a peak in the 1950s. Explorers were pouring into the Himalayas looking for the creature, creating a frenzy so intense that world governments were forced to codify the hunt. By 1959, the US and Nepal drafted strict regulations. Nepal began charging a 5,000 rupee royalty fee just to issue an expedition permit, and they established a protocol. Any captured creature had to be surrendered to the government immediately. These laws faced pressure from the world's most decorated climbers. Reinhold Messner, the first person to summit all 14 8,000-meter peaks, spent 12 years hunting the beast through the ice after an encounter in the woods with a massive, dark-furred creature. Decades of physical relics and eyewitness accounts from the world's most elite climbers have left behind a trail that modern biology can finally follow. The investigation begins with the photograph that ignited the global craze, a 1951 shot by British mountaineer Eric Shipton. While navigating a glacier, he found a massive footprint in the snow and laid down his ice axe to show its scale. The print appears hauntingly human. But an American researcher named Daniel C. Taylor spent years tracking similar marks in the Barun Valley, and his research identified a specific animal behavior behind the shape, the gait of the Himalayan tree bear. When these bears navigate deep snow, they use a highly specific overlapping step. A bear will press its front paw into the ground, leaving a distinct mark with sharp claws at the top. As the bear takes its next step, it places its hind leg almost exactly over the mark left by the front paw. The weight of that second step crushes the original claw marks and fuses the two separate shapes into one elongated print. The resulting track looks smooth and human-like. The primary photographic proof of a giant hominid is actually a biological illusion created by bear tracks and melting snow. While footprints melt, Buddhist monasteries in the high Himalayas guard permanent artifacts. For centuries, locations like the Pangboche Monastery have claimed to hold ancient mummified hands and scalps belonging to the creature. Western explorers were so focused on these relics that in the 1950s, Peter Burns smuggled a supposed Yeti finger out of a monastery and back to London. When tested under a microscope, it was identified as a human bone. To settle the debate, geneticists from Oxford and a university in New York ran definitive DNA studies in 2014 and 2017. They analyzed over 30 distinct hair, bone, and teeth samples collected from across the region. The genetic sequencing was clear. The samples matched horses, dogs, and rare subspecies of the Asian black bear and the Himalayan brown bear. No unknown primate species was found. Even the biological evidence from the 2008 death scene in Arunachal Pradesh dissolved under testing. The mysterious strand of hair found on the worker's body was identified as plant fiber, a simple piece of vegetation unrelated to any animal. Every physical piece of evidence ever tested in a laboratory has returned the same result: ordinary plants, domestic dogs, and local bears. If every biological test points to a bear, we have to find out where the specific imagery of an upright ape man originated. The answer is found in the language of the Sherpas. The word Yeti is a direct translation of Ye-te, which literally means cliff-dwelling bear. However, the imagery of a massive ape has a historical basis. Up until about 200,000 years ago, Asia was home to Gigantopithecus, a real 10-foot-tall ape covered in thick fur. Early human ancestors lived in these same regions. It is likely they encountered these massive primates and carried those memories forward through thousands of years of oral history. Over time, as Gigantopithecus went extinct, the description survived. The image of the giant ape was eventually projected onto the aggressive bears that remain on the mountain cliffs today. We live in an era where satellites mat every corner of the globe, and billions of people carry high-definition cameras. Yet, the image of the Yeti remains fixed in our culture. This myth persists because the Himalayas represent one of the few places on Earth that still feel unmapped. Even without photographic proof, we hold on to the idea of a monster because it suggests the natural world still has secrets we haven't decoded. As long as there are remote, vertical cliffs and dense forests, our culture will likely continue to populate them with shadows. This chart shows exactly how much of Earth's life we've actually documented. Biologists estimate we have only discovered 10 to 20% of the species living on this planet right now. The actual biological world is full of creatures more unusual than any myth. Scientists recently discovered a glowing red mollusk thousands of feet underwater, a transparent creature that can become invisible at will. And the mountains where explorers look for imaginary ghosts are the home of the snow leopard. There are only about 4,000 of them left, facing real threats that deserve our focus. We live on a planet brimming with documented, endangered, and undiscovered life. Instead of chasing fictional shadows in the snow, the goal should be protecting the real, miraculous treasures our planet already holds.